Today is the final day of the Israeli parliament session before the summer break. Prime Minister Netanyahu says he expects the controversial Jewish nation-state bill to pass into law tonight. The bill would define Israel as the nation-state of the Jewish people. It would become a basic law that is basically the closest thing to a constitutional amendment that exists here. And this legislation, every single word of it, generating so much controversy and scandal over the last few weeks, it is poised for its second and third votes in the hours to come. We'll stay on top of it. Back now in studio, I have Daniel Shek with me, former Israeli ambassador to France, former head of the Foreign Ministry's European Department, also Michael Kleiner, longtime lawmaker, political analyst, former member of parliament with the Likud party. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. Very heated debate, discussion going on right now. It's a very important law. Netanyahu says it's of the highest importance to him. Michael, let me start with you. Why? Why is this so important? Why is this so necessary in Israel?
First of all, for a reason that I presented 15 years ago, first time ago, I guess, basic law of the Jewish state, חוק יסוד המדינה היהודית, basic law of the Jewish state, which is on similar parameters. There's only one Jewish state in the world after 2,000 years, and we wanted to make sure that its Jewish nature is not threatened, not now and not ever again in the future.
Daniel, is it being threatened? I mean, just that idea that it's necessary because of the Jewish nature and importance of protecting that Jewish character. It needs to be.
I don't feel it's in any way threatened, and I have no problem with the law, with the content of the law. I just wonder what triggers the need for people to legislate things that state the obvious. Is it a sign of weakness from the Israeli right, a weakness in their convictions about the nature of the state? Because I personally don't feel any need to see a piece of legislation that states the obvious reasons, the raison d'etre of this state.
It's codifying it.
Yeah, but we have the Declaration of Independence, which contains most of the ingredients of what the definition of this place is. And some things are best left untouched. And I'll give you an example. A few decades ago, there was an attempt to define in law who is a Jew. Not by religious standards, but by legal standards. And it created a tremendous debate because it touched on such sensitive issues, and it was abandoned. And I'm afraid this is happening now with the definition of the state. Instead of having a unifying notion, it's a dividing notion.
Michael, can you touch on that, your response to?
No, I don't believe it's divisive. I wish it states obvious. I am happy that Danny said it. By the way, with the statement of independence, we have one problem. It speaks about the Jewish nation, about the Jewish state. It doesn't speak about the democratic state. Here we speak about a Jewish state with a democratic regime, with equal rights to all minorities, and with a special status to the Arab language.
But it would codify Hebrew as the only official language. Millions, I guess the point being millions of Israeli citizens are non-Jews, upwards of 20% are Arab citizens, but they are citizens. They have the same rights as other citizens. Wouldn't this codify and turn them into second-class citizens?
Not at all. When Danny spoke earlier about the consensus, I guess exactly the point is that those 20%, many of them, or even most of them, are not part of this consensus, and this was one reason for the necessity of this law. There are 22 countries around us which Arabic is the only official language. There's only one Jewish state. The real official language is Hebrew. Arabic will get a special status. Israeli Arabs speak about integration and why they are discriminated. One of the problems they have when they try to hide jobs is they don't know Hebrew as well. I wish they will, in order to get those equal rights, equal opportunities, it's for them that they will study Hebrew like we, and then they will have an equal opportunity to be integrated.
A lot of this seems pragmatic.
Well, except that I don't know any Arab Israeli citizen who doesn't speak Hebrew, but I know...
Yeah, but not in the high class.
I'm sorry.
Not in the highest.
But I know very few Israeli citizens who are Jews who speak Arabic. And we're not talking about a small minority. We're talking about 20% of the country. And I mean, the Arabic language had a status. You're saying a special status as if it were compliment, but it's downgrading it. It used to be an official language. You could speak at the Knesset in Arabic. In practice, hardly ever it happened. But it's a question of pride, of cultural pride, of a
inclusiveness,
of a very large portion of the Israeli society.
There's also another problem, not a big one, but a small one, but it has to be mentioned. There are those BDS, those left-wing organizations, and they ran to the Supreme Court and forced us to waste a lot of money to put Arabic signs where it's not necessary. Everybody agrees that in our places of Arab living, even as a minority in cities, mixed
you're
cities,
supporting a law that states
Arab.
the obvious, and now you think it's an obvious thing that they
go to the Supreme Court. They force us to put signs in Bnei Brak.
Maybe it's because they don't feel that they're equal.
It's not there.
Maybe.
No. It's left-wing Jewish organization who do not have what to do.
So use legal tools against these organizations.
The European Union is throwing at the money. They have to do something.
But the basic law is
so why do the Arab citizens of Israel have to pay the price of your anger against the European Union? I don't understand.
No, on the other hand.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
For the Israeli
right feels threatened in its identity. It's threatened in their identity, and that's why they need to legislate as if it's going to make a difference.
22 Arab countries who want to destroy us. It's a truth that many
they were here 50
of our
years ago, and you didn't need to do
many
that.
of our Arab citizens are demonstrating with laws of
so
our
it's a law against the Arab citizens. Now it's clear. At least we know it's a law against the Arab citizens of Israel.
It's a law in favor of the Arab citizens, because if he starts
they don't feel so.
Learn Hebrew,
strangely enough, they don't feel that way.
I don't know. I speak objectively.
No, you don't speak objectively. Come on. You're a Jew. How can you speak objectively about an Arab? Can he speak objectively about you?
It's an effect of logic. If I start to learn Hebrew from kindergarten...
But they learn Hebrew from kindergarten, and you don't learn Arabic at all. Not in kindergarten, but not in 12th grade.
Let me interrupt government.
You need Hebrew, not Arabic.
Daniel Michael, I appreciate the passionate debate. This is an important debate